From the very start, people told me I should have gone for street justice. Y'all know what that is. Yeah. It's kind of like when dad finds out that somebody's been touching his daughter, walks into the room and sees it, pulls the pistol off his hip, and, well, that child molester's gone, isn't he? I don't agree with murder at all. Now, in that situation, most people would say that it would be okay for that to happen, that that man had done right. We've got multiple situations in Texas where people have done exactly that. And of course, if they get into any trouble at all, it's usually a slap on the wrist, if that. A lot of times, a jury just simply is not going to, yeah, they're not going to convict a father of jack shit when he walks in on that. But then you've got the other scenario, the false allegations scenario. And we've been noticing in recent days that that's actually a lot more prevalent than people want to realize, more prevalent than they want to believe. That there's a lot of women out there that use that for control. There's also a lot of other people that once you start playing telephone and they want to impress someone, they'll say something like that just as an excuse to harm you. Like it'll go from one rumor to another, and then it gets pretty bad. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that doctor lady in this video as well. But I do want to go over what's going on with Rebecca. We've got mutual, well, I can't say mutual friends in all of these people's cases, but we have a lot of mutual friends and a lot of mutual contacts. Now, as far as what's considered friends, I can't really consider myself their friend in most of these cases. The reason for that is because, I mean, the things I am willing to do for them, none of them are willing to do for me. And I don't hate them for that at all. Disappointed is definitely an understatement, but hatred is definitely not what I feel. I feel hurt a lot. Now, a lot of people, they want to go a less peaceful route. There are a lot of people that they have very unpeaceful routes, and they consistently go back to that. Once they get to the point where they realize that there is no longer a future, everything has been taken from them, and their ability to start over is no longer there. There's a lot of people that want violence and vengeance and revenge, and as soon as somebody starts telling me, hey, I'm gonna have a friend send somebody to do something physical instead of trying to do it the way that we're all smart enough to know it doesn't work. And we legitimately, the street people know that going to the cops doesn't work. That's why street justice exists. The lower you are on the totem pole, the less anybody gives a shit. You run into a child molester, what happens? Somebody shows up with a bottle of alcohol and invites that person up the mountain. Two people go up the mountain, only one man comes down. Now, I really wanted to, before Rebecca really got started on her story, because she did talk about human trafficking, I wanted to get a little bit of information from her on that. Just enough to get started, get some leads, and either save some lives or get myself shot, whichever happens first. Now, that's not saying that I'm going out and trying to suicide by cop or anything fucking stupid like that. But, when it comes to human trafficking or it comes to drugs in general and human trafficking, especially here in the United States, especially with the sex trade, especially with the labor trade, both of those, it's real heavily tied to the drug trade. Rebecca's been having a pretty bad panic attack all day long. She's also having a severe case of sensory overload, and she's in an environment that's scarier than the one I'm in. The people at the Starbucks here treat me so wonderfully. You got no idea. I mean, nearly everywhere I go, people love me because I'm courteous, which you might not know from watching my channel. I'm a lot different in real life. I respect you as long as you respect me. I'll keep my end of the bargain as long as you keep yours. But once you break your word, all bets are off. I don't owe it to you to be loyal to you and to keep my word to you when you broke your word, especially in situations. Many of these situations, me being able to keep my word was dependent upon them keeping theirs. If you don't keep your word, I can't do what you want me to do. Now, some of these situations are sensitive, so I'll give you an example. Somebody is going to help me with court, but I got to send them gas money first. Well, I did that with Miss Peaches. It wasn't a problem. The problem is when you give somebody the money so they can send your stuff, like I did with Graham, so he could send my stuff to California the following Friday. I mean, it was literally like the next day, the day after. It was on Friday. I gave him the money. He said he didn't know if he'd have the money to send it, so I gave him the money to send it. He promised me he would send it out on Friday. And, just a week earlier, he promised me that he was going to give me some money for some of the goods and services that I had. Of course, I had tools and all sorts of other stuff. Well, he also didn't keep his word on that occasion. So this became a habit with a lot of people. Like they'd promise me up and down that they'd this and they would that. And then in the end, they just didn't. They just simply didn't. So, of course, when I was there at Shannon's, maybe a week or two, that's pretty acceptable for if he gets real busy there at Tabby's house. He can't send it immediately. I can understand that. 6 weeks, though. It took him 6 weeks to send it. And Shannon's was scary, and I had to just take it. And as much as was going on there, like I was trying not to have meltdowns every day from the situation. Now, like I said from the beginning, Shannon's daughter was not the problem. Now, throughout all of this, most of these people had good intentions. A lot of them have drug addictions or addictions to alcohol. The ones that just smoke pot, they're never a problem. Sometimes they're unmotivated. But other than that, I mean, really, they're not violent. All of the rest of them, though, I have to be afraid of. People who are coming down, people who just relapsed. I've had a lot of that happen. Like with Kelly and I, when we stopped being friends, a long time after Natalie died. Kelly and I stopped being friends because she got drunk and wanted to be hateful to me. Mariah Johnson broke her sobriety, got drunk, got into an argument with Mandy Singer, and next thing you know, she's taking it out on me. Another not my fault, not my choice. And then there's the thing with Brett Roloff, of course. He couldn't stay off of the meth. Now, of course, there's also a big difference between being at Shannon Alvarado's and, well, there are worse places that I've been, places where people are physically violent. Ken and Leah Plunkett, or Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett's, they weren't physically violent with me except for the last day I was there. Leah wasn't ever physically violent with me. She just had Ken do it. But the thing is that Ken was physically violent with her son and consistently antagonizing him, knowing that he had Asperger's, knowing that he was autistic, knowing exactly what he was doing. Ken would do that often. Leah was complaining because her daughter had been killed. She was sad. And she said, my son's autistic, so like I'll never get to ever have a hug from my son. And what she doesn't get is that we're not fucking robots. Her son does have emotions. He went there like the next day, wanted to give her a hug, stuck his arms out, and she jumped backwards. What? Stared at him like, what the fuck are your arms out for? He wanted to give her a hug. He basically just stayed in his room because Ken and Leah didn't have any time for him. All they ever did is talk about what a horrible kid he is, what a horrible kid he is. He didn't do nothing but sit in his room and play video games and take verbal abuse from Ken and Leah. And of course, physical abuse from Ken. But who's going to listen to me? That has been the problem since day one, since well before Natalie Bollinger. I've been speaking out about this since before I ever met Natalie. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've been speaking out about it since before Natalie was born. And people don't get that. They think this is stuff that I'm just making up. They get to see it all over the news. The very same people by name that I told you did these things to me were on the news for doing them to more people after they did it to me. That is the problem with you guys saying just let it go. When you just let it go, those predators still have access to you, your loved ones, your friends, your family. They're still free to go do that to other people, like Waylon Lolatai, or like those two officers who killed Demetrius Shankling. All over the news for what they'd done. And then let's talk about Michelle Quinn. She's one of the people that I had to deal with over Sheriff Scott DaCosta in Dual County. This officer beat the hell out of her girlfriend. And although State Patrol's job is not to police the police, yeah, they were out there quick, fast, and in a hurry to investigate that, to arrest Michelle Quinn, the sheriff of Garden County. And then there's, of course, Sarah Nelson in Lincoln Correctional Center. She's also been arrested for sexual misconduct, among other things. And also there's, of course, Michelle DeCini. And again, that is sexual misconduct, but that's not all she was doing. All told, there's over a dozen of the officers or jail guards that I've tried to turn in that have since been arrested and incarcerated, and some of them found guilty, some of them pled guilty. But you see what happens when they get a big head. When you let people like Waylon Lolatai get away with doing that to me, he takes part in more crimes, like the ones against Zaid Atkinson, Michelle Rodriguez, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, Michelle Clark, all Waylon Lolatai. All of those were Waylon Lolatai, and all of them after I tried to turn him in for his brutality. Now, I suppose I had to go to regional and racial culture. I kind of sort of know what I've been told about my ancestry, but I've really got no fucking clue. I'm a mutt. A mutt. I'm a Heinz 57. Whether or not the stories I've been told are true or not, I don't know. Apparently, my Aunt Diane does that genealogy stuff and she doesn't talk to me. So, all I know is the stories I heard before she started doing that. But I do know that throughout my life, I've been in different cultural regions, different areas: California, Washington State, Nebraska, Colorado. I've hung out with people from all over the country and also all over the world. And I know that regional dialect, there's some places where a certain word will mean something, it means something different elsewhere, or where there's multiple names for the same item. Like one place you say soda, one place you say pop, one place you say soda pop, you know? But then there's also culturally American. And we got a culturally American bandwidth. But one thing that I noticed being in different parts of society and also with different cultural and ethnic groups is that, all right, for example, I've never been to a church that was predominantly black that wasn't just outright fun. I have never been to a predominantly white church that was any fun at all. Um, Different approaches to religion, but also different approaches to working together and solidarity. My computer's about to die, and as a result, I'm going to have to end this. Otherwise, it'll do fucked up stuff in the morning and take half an hour to figure out what the hell's wrong with it. So y'all be safe, and I'll try to finish this tomorrow. I do apologize. I didn't realize it's almost dead. Y'all be safe. You are your brother's keeper, so please look out for your brothers and your sisters. I'm going to tell you, all these people that I've been pissed off at who did horrible things to me, when they asked for my help, they still got it. After Desiree did fucked up shit to me, I still helped her out a couple of times after that. Even after Natalie Bollinger did all the fucked up shit that she did to me before she died, when she disappeared, I still tried to help find her and tried to give her every penny that I had to get her somewhere safe. When her sister disappeared, not once but 3 separate occasions since Natalie disappeared, I did everything that I could to try to help find Alicia Bollinger from a distance. You can do a lot of fucked up shit to me. I mean, seriously. I still love Jamie Curtis. I still love Brandon Jefferson. I still love Candace Bondurant. If I love you, I love you. I guess I'm stupid that way. People know they can hurt me. Now, with all of the violent suggestions I've been hearing throughout the day, I'm really overwhelmed with it. That hurts me on every level. Hopefully, Des doesn't send anybody up here to do anything violent.